Okay, we are going to review chapter 1 and hopefully get through most of chapter 2 today. Remember, you're allowed an index card on for your exam. You can write on the front and back. And as of now, the test is in 2 parts. It's calculator, non-calculator. The calculator part, you can use either or both. If you want to use the Inspire, if you still feel comfortable with the old ones, that's fine. You can use either one. And then the non-calculator, you can use the cheapy calculator. You know what I'm talking about? The non-bracket, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I'm gonna fly through this. Hopefully you had a chance to look at it. And remember, it took 19 weeks to get you to this point. I can't review every little nook and cranny. I wish I could. But, how do you, if I give you a graph, how do you know if it's a function? Well, if it's a graph, basically what you can do is draw a vertical line through it, and if it hits in one spot, it's a function. So yes, this was a function. 1b, they want to know what the domain is. The domain of your x values. So what you want to do is look at this graph. It starts at the smallest x value is -6. This is -6, and it goes all the way to 6. Now make sure you understand the bracket and parenthesis deal. If it's including that number, use a bracket. If it's not, it's a parenthesis. The range is the y values. The smallest, you go smallest to largest. Here's your smallest y value, which is -6, and your largest is 6. And it's including both of these, so I use brackets for both. The next one, what is f of -5? -5 is your x value. You're going to go 5 units to the left, and this is the y value is -2. How do you know if I give you a set of points? Is it a function? Well, you look at your x, your input, or your x values. If any x value repeats, it's not a function. This one is all single x values, so it's yes. The square root of 2 is an irrational and a real number. So it's A and C. How do you write an equation of a line if I give you 2 points? Well, this should be very easy. This is a 9th grade question. You need the slope. The slope is the difference of the y's over the difference of the x's. You get 2 as your slope. Now, I like to use point slope formula. And point slope formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I just found out my slope is 2, and you pick one of the 2 points and plug it in. Remember, it's the opposite of the x and y. Y comes first, and then x. And then look at your answers. Are they in slope-intercept form? You might have to, distribute and add to get it in slope. And the answer, it says in this question, write it in slope-intercept form.
Are there going to be a lot or any multiple choice?
The whole test is multiple choice.
Oh, is it?
Number 5 is strictly giving you the slope and a point, and they want you to write it in point slope form. So it's y, it's minus it's the opposite of 5, so it's plus 5, equals the slope is -1/5, and then parenthesis x minus 3. Done. Leave it. Number 6, I want an equation of a line that's perpendicular to this line. So what I have to do is find the slope of this line, which you get slope by rewriting it in slope-intercept form. So you see, for this line, it's -5, but if I want it perpendicular, I flip this number and change the sign. So the slope I really want is positive 1/5. And I want it to pass through this point, so I'm going to incorporate 10 -2 into this formula. And then definitely, if it's a slope-intercept form, you gotta fix it. Standard form means no fractions, and you gotta get Do you have the, you want me to go back?
Yeah, I just needed the answer.
Okay. You know these are your old tests.
Oh.
I didn't get this one right.
Okay, which one?
This one, on the
6?
test. Well, I get it now.
Okay. Yeah, you guys, I'm going fast because we don't have a lot of time. And you have these are your old tests. So hopefully you looked at it and said, you know, I got this, I understand it now. You took these tests already. Hopefully you found them. Okay, Amanda, are you good?
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Tell me, I know I'm going fast, but this 5, you gotta get rid of it. So you multiply everything by 5. Good? And then you wanna get negative 3x in front. That's standard form. So the answer to 7 is 3x plus 5y equals 10. Number 8. In the year 55, first class auto paid its employees $55,000. So they're telling you to use, it says use X is 0 for the year 1955. That's gonna be your beginning, your slope intercept, your y-intercept right there, your 55,000. So for the year 0, it represents 1955, the employees received 55,000. And then in 1970, which is 15 years later, so X would be 15, they received 66,700. So I want an equation representing this linear model. So find the slope. You find the difference of the y's over the difference of the x's, you get 780. For the year 1955, that's gonna be your b value. So your equation is y equals 780x plus 55,000. And then they wanna know in the year 1985, what was the salary? So you have to figure out what X is. You can't plug in 1985 here. You have to know X is 30. Number 9. You're given, this is gonna ask, this is an algebra question, seeing how well you know the slope formula. Slope formula says you take your y values, these are your 2 y values, you have to subtract them, that goes in the numerator, and then your 2 x values in the denominator, and the slope of this problem is 2. So you should know how to simplify and cross multiply. You end up getting t as negative 4. Number 10. You're a toy company, you have fixed costs of $8 a toy and variable costs, fixed cost of $50,000, variable cost of $8. It's the cost to make a toy. And that's, your fixed costs are like your rent, insurance. They're asking you, what would it be, how much would it cost to make 12,000 toys? You plug 12,000 for X, multiply by 8, and add 50,000. Then if they want to know the average per toy, you take this and you would divide it by, you do 146,000, and you're making 12,000 toys, and that's how you get your $12.17. Questions? Next. This is where you probably are going, don't remember doing this, but you should. We have an arithmetic sequence. Do you remember the formula for an arithmetic sequence? It's a sub n, it's the first term plus n minus 1 times d. In this problem, they do not give you the first term, and they don't give you 2 in a row. They give you the fourth term is 42, and they give you the 24th term is 102. So if we treat these like two ordered pairs, if you do the difference, figure out the slope. So if you did 102 minus 42 over 24 minus 4, you get m is 3. And m is really d. That's your d value. Okay? So now what we have a sub n, first term, and we have a 3 here. That's all we know so far. Now what you're gonna do is take one of these 2 points. I would do this one right here, smaller one. So the 4th term, that's your n value. And 42 is what that 4th term is. What you're gonna do now is find the first term. So 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, and you're gonna subtract, you're gonna get the first term is 33. So now that you have your first term, you need these 2 things right here for the formula. So you have, your equation's gonna be U or A. Sometimes books use A, sometimes they use U's, it doesn't matter. The first term is 33, and then n minus 1 times 3. Now, the answer may on your test, because it's multiple choice, this is a good answer, but you could distribute the 3 and simplify it to 3n plus 30. Now to find the 100th term, for the next question, to find the 100th term of this, you do 3 times 100 plus 30, and you get 330. Number 12 is easier than 11. The only thing different is you don't have to find the common difference. They gave it to you. So what you're going to do is go an, okay, use that formula. You're going to plug this in here, -4, put 340 here and 52 here. So 340 equals A1 plus 52 minus 1 times -4. Find the first term, and you should get 544.
Excuse this interruption. If we could
So
now
your
have
equation.
the 9th graders with the last name beginning V as in Victor through Z report to the cafeteria at this time. Thank you.
That's your equation. It's the first term plus n minus 1 times d. Now, obviously, you can rewrite this equation by simplifying it. Is this coming back to you guys a little bit? Hopefully. Okay, find the sum. Now, I know this is an arithmetic sequence because this looks like a linear equation. If it looked like an exponential one, then it would be geometric. Remember this formula? You're adding up from the 4th term to the 71st term. That's the number of terms you're adding up. Do you remember my trick to show you how to find K? You find the difference, 71, do 71 minus 4, which is 67, and then add 1. So what's K? K is 68. Now, how do you find the first term that you're adding up? You take this bottom number and you plug it in here. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 minus 8 is 0. So the first term is 0, and then you plug 71 in here. 2 times 71, and then plug minus 8 is 134. So you need the number of terms, which is 71 minus 4 plus 1. You need the first term you're adding up and the last term, and use this formula. And you can write this formula on your paper or on your index card. The answer to this was 4,556. 4,556, yes.
How did you get the, A?
The 8, you take the bottom number and you're plugging it into this formula.
For the,
And
AK?
the last term, 71. You plug in here.
Okay.
71 times 2 minus 8, that's 134. Okay, 14, you should be able to, you guys know how to do geometric arithmetic. This one was neither. Is there anyone not knowing this one? To determine, and you don't have to prove it because it's multiple choice. So if you're adding or subtracting a number to get to the next term, it's arithmetic. If you're multiplying or dividing, it's geometric. Number 15. Now we're talking about geometric sequences. Do you remember this formula? Looks like this. A sub n, it's the first term times the ratio to the n minus 1 power. So we need the first term, which that's a no-brainer, it's 1/4. How do you go from 1/4 to negative 1/12 and negative 1/12 to 136? That's your R value. You can figure this one out. It's negative 1/3. So what's your answer here? It's easy. AN, it's the first term times the R value, and then n minus 1. Questions? Okay. Next. That page. This one is a geometric sequence, but it's like the arithmetic one where they give you 2 terms and they're not in a row. I want you to take a look at the formula. This is what helps me do this problem all the time. I look at this one and I say, what's the relationship oops, this is an equal to sign, guys, sorry. What's the relationship between these 2 subscripts here and this power for R? They're subtracted. So because these are not in a row, you're going to take the 6th term and the 3rd term and use them in this place. And this is going to be R to the what power? What should I put here? A 3. Because 6 minus 3 is 3. Now you're going to replace. The 6th term is negative 4. The 3rd term is 32. You've got to find R, the R value, the ratio. How do you do this? You're going to divide by 32, you get negative 1/8. And now take the cube root of both sides. Cube root of negative 1/8 is negative 1/2. Now the other term we need is we need the first term. So you've got, here's the first term, here's the second term, and here's the 3rd term. The 4th term, we don't know. 5th term, the 6th term is negative 4. Whoops. And this is 120, I'm sorry, 32. So, if you're going in this direction, from here to get to this one, we figured out R is negative 1/2. You'd multiply this by negative 1/2. So what's negative 1/2 times 32?
Negative 16.
Then what's negative 1/2 times this?
Okay.
And then what's 1/2? Negative 1/2 times that. So that worked. So how would you go the other way? You would multiply by negative 2. So if you multiply, so to go this way, you multiply by negative 1/2. To go this way, you're going to multiply by negative 2. So this would be negative 64, and then this would be 128. You're multiplying these by negative 2. So your equation, so we got the first term, is now 128. So the equation is U sub n is 128 times R, which is negative 1/2 to the n minus 1 power. Number 17. You're adding, this is, now, this I know is geometric, because we have a variable as an exponent. So we need the formula. We're adding 8 terms. You guys remember this one? It's the first term times 1 minus r to how many are you adding together over 1 minus r. Well, how do you get the first term that you're adding up? You're going to put this bottom number in here. What is 1 minus 1? 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So your first term is 3. Now, this is going to be your r value right here. So it's 1 minus, and then you have negative 2/3. And then how many are you adding together? You're adding 8 terms. 8 minus 1 is 7, and up 1 is 8. All over 1 minus r. Whoops, r is negative 2/3. So this is going to be a positive number. Use your calculator. You just got to know how to plug it in. The answer to this question is 1.7. And in fraction form, it was 1,271 over 729. Both answers were fine. Even though it said fraction versus decimal, I said you can write either way. Number 18. With a geometric sequence, you've got to find the r value. So what is the r value in this problem? You're going from 1/3 to 1/6. R is 1/2. If the r value, if the absolute value of the r value is less than 1, it converges. And if it converges, it's getting closer and closer to a number. You can add these up to infinity. See, they're asking you to add this to infinity. If r is bigger than 1, it diverges. You're not going to be able to, it's don't do it. So remember it, diverge, don't do. So if r is greater than 1, you're not going to be able to add the sum. If it converges, you can add them. And here's the formula, to infinity. So the sum to infinity of a geometric sequence, it's the first term over 1 minus r. Well, the first term is 1/3.
All ninth graders that still need to be vision screened, please report to the cafeteria now. This is the last call for all ninth graders that need vision screening.
So you have 1/3 over 1/2, and if you flip and multiply, you get 2/3. So this one converged. The bouncy ball question's not on the test. 20? Yes. Do you have a question? Huh? The work for this one right here? Yep. You're gonna flip this. You have 1/3 times 2, which is 2/3. Are you good, Michael? Okay, you have a monument. And there's bricks. It's made of bricks. And there's 50 rows. In row 1, there's 200 bricks. In row 2, it says there's 4 fewer bricks, so 196. How many are in row 50? Well, we don't know. How do we figure this out? Well, the formula is, if it's going down by 4, you do a sub n, it's the first term, plus n minus 1 times d. Well, in the 50th row, the first row has 200 bricks. So you're going to do 50 minus the 50th row minus 1, and then negative 4 is your d value. You're going to find in row 50, there are 4 bricks. Now they want you to add up how many bricks are in the whole monument. So you're gonna add up this number, row 3, row 4, row 5, all the way up to row 50. So what's the formula is, it's the sum, the number of rows over 2, and how many bricks are in the first row to how many bricks are in the 50th, the last row. Well, there's 50 rows, and in the first row there's 200, and in the 50th row there's 4. So there's your formula for adding them up. I love this question. There's 5,100 bricks. Yes.
So you use the K equation, when
Yes.
you're looking for total,
Yes.
and then you use the, is that arithmetic?
This one is arithmetic.
Okay,
These are both for arithmetic formulas, both of them are.
okay.
This one is to find how many are in a certain row. In row 50, there were 4 bricks. This one is to sum up, in all 50 rows, how many bricks do we have? You're adding 200 bricks from row 1, 196 in row 2, 192 in row 3, and so forth. Okay? So that concludes chapter 1. Is it better? Usually chapter 1's the hardest chapter. So we got that done. Chapter 2. Anybody have any questions first? Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Are you ready? Now, a lot of these questions are gonna be, they're going to be, calculator, chapter 2. Before did everybody get the insert? I goofed and didn't copy the non-calculator part of chapter 2, so I just gave it to you guys. Did everyone get it? All right, let's just run through these. Do you guys remember how to do these problems with the calculator? Can you tell me how to do them? Anybody? No? Alrighty. So what you do, you take your calculator, and I'll show you on this calculator, because this is what we used when we did this. But if you want to take a try at the Inspire, you can use the Inspire too, and I can show you how to use it for that. But I'm not going to teach you something new right now on that calculator. For any of these problems, what you do is you want to go to y equals. And you want to get everything on one side. So for this problem, you're going to type y1, at y1 you're going to write 3x cubed minus x squared minus x plus 2. Get everything to one side, and then hit graph. And see how many times it hits the x-axis. And in this one, I think it was 1, right? Did it hit 1 time? Yes. Okay, number 2. First of all, these are all different. Do you guys remember how to type them in your calculator? For the one with multiple square roots, you're going to type this one in as x minus 2 plus 6. Whoops. Should be a minus sign. Minus the square root of x squared plus 2. Because there's multiple square roots and numbers here, you put everything in, get everything to one side. Then once you see the graph, you hit second calc 0. I think you guys remember this. Remember it or no? Sure, I'll go through one. So I'll do this one. You're gonna hit square root and then x minus 2, and then parenthesis plus 6, and then minus the square root x squared plus 2, and then hit graph. Okay, do you see the picture right there?
Can you go back to, the one that was?
Yep. Now, I will show you how to do these on the Inspires. It's just, I'm worried it's gonna slow you down on your tests. You're faster on these. Tara, you good?
Yeah, I just put a negative instead of a subtract.
Okay. Now you hit graph. Now look at where it hits the x-axis right there. And if you don't see it, you gotta change your window. Do you remember how to get that number? You hit second calc, go to 0. Now you're left bound. Hit 5, enter, then 9, enter, enter. And there it is right there. It's 8.41. Right here. Right there. Oh. Do you remember it now?
Yeah.
Second count, birthday girl. Okay, what about, how do you type number 3 in? And I'm only gonna give you one of these, you're obviously not gonna do 4 of them. One of these will be on your test, I don't know which one. So how do you do absolute value 1? You're gonna type in, do you know how to do absolute value? Math, num, and you get, it'll say abs, it'll go like that, abs, and you have a parenthesis. You're gonna type x to the 4th minus 2x plus 1, and then swing 3 over to the other side. And then hit graph. And then hit math, second calc. I think this one had 3 zeros. I can't seem to find my key. Can anyone read off the answers to me? My key is missing. Anyone know the answer? Otherwise I'll have to give it to you another time. But that's how you do it. This one, number 4, you just take what's underneath here on this one, just x cubed. Now the reason why is you will not see the answer if you put square root in this one. So you just type in y1. Do not do, because it's only one single square root equal to 0. You only type what's underneath here.
You said you wanted the answers for the absolute one?
Do you have them?
I think I do, yeah.
What is it? There's 3 of them.
Oh, I didn't get 3, but I got
2?
I got negative 0.797 or 0.8 and 1.5.
And 1.5?
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah, negative 0.8 and 1.5.
Yeah? Okay, next one. I don't know what my answers are. Number 4, how many answers did you get? 3. That's the one that was 3. Who has them? Yeah, that's the same test.
-2.38, -1.27, 1.6.
Are we in agreement? These are from your test, you should have them. How do you do a fraction 1? What you do is you set only the numerator equal to 0, and you do that. Can you read off the answer?
-3.2.
Okay? And now, do you remember this one? Okay, let's do this one. You're gonna type in your calculator x squared minus 10x, and then minus 7. Well, you should have cleared my calculator. Okay, so you type that in, and then you hit graph. What you're gonna see is a parabola. Woo. The other part is, did I type it in right? 10x minus 7, yes. Okay, so you're gonna find your 2 solutions. And this one's off the page. What's this 0 right here? So I don't have to do it. Someone tell me, who got this one right? 10 point what?
6.
Okay, good. So this one is 10.66, and this is negative 0.66 if I remember. Okay, So I wanna know, it's greater than 0. Greater than 0 is above the x-axis. It's this piece and this piece. So your answer, left to right, it's gonna be negative infinity, negative 0.66. We're gonna use a parenthesis, not a bracket. Why? Because of the no bar, there's no equality here. It's an open circle. So we use parentheses. For number 7, when you type this one in your calculator, someone give me the 2 critical values. You get a parabola. This is a negative what? Anyone get this one? Negative 0.73. What's this one? Thanks. So this one is less than, it's this piece right here, underneath the x-axis. And we're gonna use brackets. Okay? The next, the sum of 2 numbers is 12. And the difference of their squares is 72. What I would do is solve one for y and plug it into the other and then type it into your calculator. I think 3 and 9 were the 2 numbers. Once you find one, you can plug it and get the other one. The next one, you've got 2 solutions. We need 40 gallons. So one equation is x plus y is 40. One solution is 60%. The other one is 19%. And we want the new solution to be 50% salt. So you take 50% of 40, which is 20, and that's what goes here. And you can use systems of equations to solve it.
Can you go back to the,
Yeah, which one?
that one?
9?
Yes.
Okay, you have you need 40 gallons of these 2 solutions, so x plus y is 40. One solution 60% and one is 19%. We want our new solution to be 50%, and we want 40 gallons to be 50% salt. So you do 0.50 times 40. Okay? Anyone have the answer to these 2? Because I don't have my answer key.
30.24, 9.66.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Next, make sure you can do this one. You're investing $27,000 in 2 bonds, so your equation is, one of them is x plus y is 20. That's the big number you're investing in 2 accounts. One bond is 7%. And the other one is 9%. And you're gonna earn that interest. And solve it, systems of equations. Give the 2 answers.
15,000.
I'm going fast. Number 11. You're shooting a rocket in the air. Here's your equation, right here. You gotta know what these 3 things, actually 4 things mean. H is the height of what you're finding out when the object reaches that height. So in this question, they're asking you, when will it reach 144 feet? So you have 144 feet. Your velocity. If you're blasting something up in the air, it's going to be a positive velocity, so plus 160 times t. If you were blasting it down, it would be negative 160. If you drop it, it's a 0 velocity. So it's plus 160 t. And then the second h is where is the object when you blast it, and it says you're on the ground. So this h is how high you want to find out when it's going to reach that height. This is the height where it's at when you blast it. Now how do you solve this? I would get this to one side, and you end up getting, I think, 1 and 9. Those are the two answers for that, right? So 1 second and 9 second, it reaches 100, because why it does that is it's going up and it's coming down. So it's gonna reach it at 1 second, and then it goes up, and then it's at 9 seconds, it's gonna hit 144 feet again. The next question is, when is it gonna hit the ground? So now you wanna put a 0 here. And this answer, I believe, was 10 seconds?
I got it wrong.
It's 10. I've done it. And you just gotta play around with your calculator. I wish I had more time to do them all over again, but the snow days didn't help. 13's not on your test, don't worry about it.
Wait, can you scoot over?
Scoot over, which way?
I was only having an idea how to do the snap one.
All right, now look at the written part. The insert I gave you that I messed up, got to copy, are you good? All right. Don't have a lot of time, so wherever I leave off, I'll finish tomorrow. For number 1, everyone should be able to factor a quadratic formula and solve it. That's a super easy, it's a 9th grade question, you guys. So negative 1/5 and 1. For number 2, what are the steps involved in solving these? You're going to add 36, divide by 3, you get 12, take the square root of both sides, you get plus or minus 2 root 3, and then add 1. Do you remember this? There's a lot of questions on chapter 2, this part, so make sure you get this one. Number 3, you have a fraction. What you do is solve for the numerator. Now remember, this was the non-calculator part. So this one, you're not gonna use a calculator to find out 5 and 2. I'm sorry, negative, it should be negative 5. It should be negative 5, sorry. Right there. Now, why did I cross out negative 5? Because in the denominator, if you plug that number in, it would not work. It's undefined. So you gotta cross out that answer. So 2 is the only one that works. Number 7. We still struggle with the quadratic formula. Do you guys remember it? If you don't, write it down. It's negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You gotta make sure you know what a, b, and c are. Get it in the right order. Okay? This answer, jot it down. It's 7 plus or minus root 61 over 6. Make sure you know how to simplify those. Now you guys hate completing the square. The nice thing about the next question is you don't need to know it on the test because you could use the quadratic formula to solve this one. I tested you on the steps on completing the square already, so I don't care if you're good at the quadratic formula, stick with that. If not, here's the answer. Either way, whatever way you do it, it's gonna be negative 2 plus or minus root 29. So I'm not gonna go over that. Number 6 is on your test, for sure. X to the 4th, as soon as you see x to the 4th, split it up into x squared, x squared. What times what is 36 but adds to be negative 13, negative 9, and negative 4? Then take each of those little mini parentheses and set them equal to 0. You guys can do this, plus or minus 3 and plus or minus 2. Good? The next one, the discriminant, is on your test. What is the discriminant? It's the part of the quadratic formula, the part that's underneath the radical. Not the radical, it's the square root, it's the b squared minus 4ac. So to find the discriminant, plug the b value is negative 2, so you have 4 minus 4 times 3 times negative 3. So that's gonna be positive, you end up getting 40 for your discriminant. Now, if the discriminant is a positive number, that means there's two solutions. If it's 0, that means there's 1, and if it's negative, there's none. Number 8. How do you solve this algebraically? Subtract 3, and then take the 4th root of both sides. You get 81 here. This is not 3 times 4, guys. It's 81. And then add 3, divide by 2, and you get 42 for this problem. Now, I'm running out of time. I'm gonna start back up on the back side here, number 9, tomorrow, and we've gotta fly through these. Make sure you have chapter 3 done.